Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a pre-built system, and I know that in this particular case it doesn't look like a pre-built, but in here is the hardware for a just standard HP Envy Skylake system featuring an i5-6400, 12 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. And really all I've done here is swapped out the power supply as well as the case itself to make it look, a little bit prettier. And then I added an RX 480 that was also bought separately. But the system in here is otherwise completely stock HP Envy Skylake era PC. And the thing that I'm loving about this Envy motherboard is that there's no proprietary connectors on it really whatsoever. It's got standard power connectors, it's got standard IO connectors for the front panel. Everything is standard with it. So it was a very easy OEM motherboard to just swap into an aftermarket case, which is what I've done here with this Cooler Master case to give it a little bit better airflow and also just make it look better, make it a little bit easier for me to resell. But altogether, this system as it sits is just over $300, and the Envy itself, the original base OEM PC, was featuring also a 1 terabyte hard drive. So everything was there except a graphics card for it to be a gaming PC. And that system for the base system was like $190. And this thing was purchased back when RAM was really, really expensive. So that might have demanded a little bit of a premium on that. And then this 480 was actually purchased at about $90 or so. And that was a recent acquisition. So really the graphics card plus the base system is about $280. This power supply cost me just over $20. And if you want to count the SSD that I'm going to be running the game off of today, and by the way, that game we're featuring today is Apex Legends, you could throw another $20 on top of it for that system, or rather for that SSD as well if you really wanted to. Though the SSD doesn't give you any extra frames per second, it just makes things load quite a bit faster. So that's the system in a nutshell here. I think it looks great. It turned out great. I'm super excited with how it came out after the transition from the old PC case into this guy. But what I'm really curious about is just how well this system will run Apex Legends. Now, let's take a look over here at the Apex Legends minimum system requirements, being an Intel i3-6300 or an FX 4350 clocked at 4.2 gigahertz. So minimum system specs here. In the GPU side of things is a GT640. Minimum system specs should be no problem at all. And then the recommended system specs here are an i5 3570K or equivalent. i5-6400, I believe has lower clocks, but should also have better IPC in general. So we have roughly the right CPU for the recommended system specs. 8 gigabytes of RAM, we're featuring 12 gigs, we should be perfectly good there. And then a GTX 970. The RX 480 I don't think quite performs with a 970 if I recall correctly. However, it should be pretty close to being up to the spec of the recommended system specs here. And just to be clear, this is the 4 gigabyte RX 480, not the 8 gigabyte 480. The 8 gigabyte version of that card would actually probably perform slightly better maybe than a 970 based on some videos that I've been looking at just to sort of see how they stack up. But this 480 being a 4 gigabyte card should be just off of the 970. Still should be a solid gamer at 1080p. But let's go ahead and hop into Apex Legends, see if we can hit that 60 FPS number, and then see if we do hit that number, how far we can push this thing in our frames and see how much eye candy we get out of it, maintaining that 60 FPS. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have the overlay working on OCAT in Apex Legends for the actual gameplay footage. However, the benchmark worked just fine with OCAT, so I do have these statistics, which I'll go ahead and throw up on the screen now. But we averaged at 1080p high settings with this computer 77 FPS with 5% lows right at 60 FPS, 1% down in the low 50s, and then 0.1% lows clear down at 45.8. But for a 0.1% low, that's really not that bad whatsoever. And keep in mind, this benchmark was started once I hit the ground. So this does not account for falling through the air, where sometimes in some of these battle royale games you see a little bit more stuttering in those circumstances. That does not take into account the actual fall or the parachute or glide down, whatever you want to call it here in Apex Legends. This just accounts for once I was on the ground and actually playing the game. This is a really solid result for a PC that really just barely cost over $300. So there you have it, guys. Not too shabby for a roughly $300 PC. I guess if you count the case, it's more than 300. It'd be more like 350 because this is a fairly nice case, and it's not the cheapest micro ATX case in the world, but not bad at all. I do want to hear your thoughts down below. Could you do better on the used market? And if so, what's your go-to used combination of choice? What's your CPU and GPU combo look like? Maybe what pre-builds do you target if you go through that? Maybe one of the Optiplexes, for example. Let me know all your thoughts on this build and its performance in Apex Legends down below. And of course, if you like this video, hey, give it a like, share, subscribe, and comment. All those things are very helpful to the channel. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Hoosier Hardware. And as always, I'll let YouTube queue up a couple more videos from my channel for you to watch. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I'll see you guys in the next video.